Ladies and gentlemen,
Okay, everybody, this is not my show today. This is going to be the Sexiest Man Alive show.
in the
And
universe
yes, the sexiest man alive in the universe
is
doing
back.
Relationship Talk 101.
That's
So,
correct.
and then we have Sasha, but I'm going to hand it over to Steven because this will be his show.
Okay, guys. First of all, my sexy subscribers, if you are not subscribed to my channel, subscribe and you become a sexy subscriber. Now, number two, I've been doing vlogging in the past from a male's perspective, and people are like, well, you're coming off as being sexist and stuff, even though I've been the white knight before and I've taken up for women before. You can see in the comment sections in some of these videos where I've called men out on their bullshit. Guys have commented, called me a white knight, a save a hoe, this, and that. But some of my subscribers have been asking me, I think your vlogging would go to the next level if you were to insert women into the equation. And I thought to myself, and I said, that'd be a good idea. But then I didn't really know any women who were available who, had the time on their hands to just come on to these hangouts. Then all of a sudden I started doing these WWE hangouts with Sasha and Ambrosia and all these other YWC members. And I said, maybe this would be a good idea to kind of branch out and maybe do other topics other than just wrestling, And I thought that, Relationship Talk 101, don't know how popular this is going to be, but I figure it's a start. So today, based on my sexy subscribers' request, we're going to cover 5 topics. This video should not take no longer than an hour. We're going to try not to go no more than an hour, but between 35 and 45 minutes, relatively. So we're going to cover the 5 topics today. And just to go over each topic, just to kind of give you guys, an idea of what the 5 topics are, let me go ahead and look for it. Okay, topic number 1 is it considered offensive to ask a woman if she's pregnant? Topic 2, why are women so competitive more for men as opposed to men are competitive for women? Or is it equal? Is there a difference between how men compete for women versus how women compete for men? Number 3, pros and cons to dating. Number 4, top 5 romantic places for a first date or a date in general. It doesn't matter if you're married or if you're dating or if you're in a relationship. Number 5, why do women like the asshole type of men, and why do men like the bitch type? So we're talking about both aspects, not just one. Everyone is so concerned about changing someone to like them instead of having somebody that already likes them already, if that kind of makes sense. And also for the bonus, we're going to go a little bit into the friend zone. So topic number 1, guys, are you ready?
Yep.
Do you guys, as of women, because I don't know, unless men could get pregnant, I don't think I could answer this question. So I'm just going to kind of let you guys take on this. Would it be considered rude if somebody that didn't know another woman was to go up and ask them, like, are you pregnant, or how many weeks are you, or when is the baby due? Would that be considered rude or offensive? Would you guys consider that?
You want to take that, Sasha, or me
Okay, yeah, I'll take that one. I don't know if it's much. I don't know. Like, I feel like you shouldn't ask a woman if she's pregnant because she could just be fat. I mean, she could just be fat. I know after I had my kids, I still had a little bit of a baby belly. And people asked me how many months was I, and it really made me feel like shit.
And that was after?
That was after the baby, because, you still have a little baby pudge a little bit. So people were asking me, well, how many months are you? And, oh, congratulations. And it really just hit my self-esteem, because I'm like, damn, I got to get back in the gym. I don't know. I would never ask a woman, hey, are you pregnant, or how many months for you? Because there's a good chance that she could just be fat and she's not pregnant. So you might offend her by asking her, hey, when are you due?
Let me ask you this. When a woman, after she delivers a baby, does the fat come off, or do you have to work out, or is it a combination of the both?
It depends. It depends. If you breastfeed, the fat will come off a lot quicker. Wow. Your belly fat. If you
I didn't know that.
If you breastfeed, it will. I know for me, You know, it did what my second child did. But now some women you have to work out. Some women have to work out a little bit harder than others. You know, but for the most part, you're going to need to work out. You're going to need to work out and maintain your diet.
And how much weight does a woman averagely gains on a pregnancy? I know it varies, but is there a ballpoint figure?
I think when I started out, I was 145. I think by the time I had my baby, I was like 165. So I gained like the average is around roughly 20 to 25 pounds, because you got to think you're carrying a baby in there, you got water weight in there, and you got a placenta in there. So you have all that stuff in there that's just squished all together, plus you're eating and, you know.
Man, with the gain of the weight, it almost makes it sound like you don't want to have a baby.
Well, you know what? In my opinion, excuse me, in my opinion, I don't think that it's anybody's business if they don't know the person. Why do they need to know whether they're pregnant? They have no business asking that question. I think that it's very rude. I have a couple friends that had happened to, one right in front of me. Some heavy people are not built from side to side with the big white ass. Yeah. They're built with their stomach sticking out, going from front to back.
That's me.
And I had a friend who was asked that, and I didn't think it bothered her. She acted very classy about it, but it ended up ruining the whole day. We were at the movie. She couldn't enjoy it. She was upset the whole time. She didn't even know what went on in the movie because she was so upset because this idiot young girl who was working behind the counter at the movie theater asked her how long before she was going to have her baby.
Oh, my gosh.
And it ruined it. And my friend was very, very upset. So I just don't think that
who asked her that? Was that a woman?
Anybody has the business. What?
Who asked her that? Was that a woman or a man that asked her?
A woman. It was a young girl who was working behind the.
So.
You know, no, that's my opinion. You have no business asking somebody that.
One of my subscribers had just asked me on Facebook, would it be more considered rude for a man to ask the question versus a woman? Because
it's rude either way.
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's rude either way. Insult to injury when a man is asking, hey, so when are you due? Because that means he's noticing how big you are. And he's assuming that you're pregnant. You know, so it's more insult to injury. You know, women...
Would it be more insult if it was the guy that was asking, I guess, because he doesn't understand what's the difference
I would be more insulted. I would be more insulted if it was a guy, but I would be insulted either way. But my feelings would be hurt if a guy asked me, hey, when are you due? Because then make me feel like a lard ass, and I need to get
Wow.
A lard ass.
So I guess until we see that water break, and don't ask.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair enough. I don't know. It's just one of my subscribers had asked this question, so I guess we're going to go ahead and skip to the next topic because I just feel like that was a very short topic. I knew we weren't really going to get very far on this topic, but topic 2. Okay, guys, I'm going to ask this question, and I'm going to reiterate this in a different form to kind of give you guys an understanding of what this question is really asking, because it sounds to me like this question could be viewed as a sexist question, but when I reiterate this question after this guy explained it to me, I kind of got a better understanding in it. The question reads, why are women so competitive for, when it comes to getting a man versus men are competitive for women? Now, I understand that guys compete for women differently than how women compete for us, if that kind of makes sense. So is there a difference, first of all? Is there a difference? Is there really a competition level in terms of difference? Like, do women compete more harder to get a man versus men compete against each other to get a woman? Is there really a difference at all? I just want to get your guys' take. I'll go ahead and start off with Sasha first on this one.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Is it different for men when they compete to get women?
To get a woman, yeah. Like, are women really competitive? First of all, let's ask this question: are women really competitive when it comes to getting a man?
Yes.
With each other?
Yes.
You feel the competition level personally.
Yes, I do. I do. I mean, if you guys are both interested in the same guy, you know, if you guys are interested in the both same guy, you know, you guys are going to both try to pull out the same, you know, or different things to try to catch the guy. Now, uh, I don't. It really just depends because I think men make it a sport of competing for women. They make it a sport. Like it's kind of like something that they don't really take seriously. They don't really care if they get the girl or not. It's kind of like just a sport. Like, hey, let's see how many numbers I can get, or hey, let's see if we can get that girl or do something like that. Women, I think the women that I have met, we take that shit to heart. Like if we say, hey, I'm going to try to get that guy's attention, or hey, I'm going to try to get that guy, we take it to heart when they're not interested, because you know it's like a knock down to your ego. You know what I'm saying? It's like if rejection is the worst, I think. So I do think that women, because women can be more sensitive, we can be, you know, more self-conscious, we can have problems with our self-esteem a lot more than men. Men, in my opinion, don't really care that much. If they can take rejection easily, like if a woman rejects them, they don't care. It's on to the next one. You know, women, it's going to sit with us for a little bit until we're like, wow, he really rejected me, or dang, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't he want me? Or, you know, something like that. So I do think in that aspect, women are more competitive with men, because it's kind of like if you get a good guy, that just proves that you're worth something. You know what I'm saying? Like you're good enough for this guy, and this guy actually noticed that. And so, yeah, you know, that's what I think. What do you think, Kat?
Yeah, Kat, we'll get your take on it.
Well, with me, I've never felt like I was competing with other women. I was only caring about myself. Like if I was interested in a guy, I was just thinking about me getting the attention of that guy. Of course, when I was younger and more immature, you know, I wanted the attention. If there were a bunch of guys, I wanted the attention. So, yeah, in that way, there might have been some competition. But other than that, mainly I was just in it, you know, for myself. But as far as men goes, I agree with Sasha 100%. I think that the men compete to see how many they can get, how many they can have sex with. Sometimes, you know, how many virgins they can have a conquest over. I've heard them do that too. So yeah, there's a lot of competition, I feel, with men in getting women. And it's not, sadly, I don't think that, at least I don't know of. I'm sure there are some out there, but I don't think it's very likely that most of the men have a competition to find out who can get a good woman first to settle down with. I think it's more of like how many notches in their belt they can get.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I guess I can kind of, you know, comment on this as well. I noticed that a lot of guys nowadays are just, it's all a numbers game to them. It's like how many women they can sleep with before the clock strikes 12, meaning till death. So when I was younger, I used to be in that competition mode. You know, my early teenagers days, this and that. I used to have, you know, guys would, you know, you weren't considered cool, or you weren't considered a man, or masculinity-wise, you weren't considered, you know, you weren't considered on your game if you weren't competing in terms of numbers. Like guys are actually competing against each other to see who sleeps with the most women. When you get older, you start to think less of that. You know, it all becomes, to me, more substance. Can she cook? Can she clean? Can she be a provider? Can she be a good mother? You know, and then of course there is a physical attraction. There is the bedroom wonders as well. Can she sexually please me? This and that. Because there is a little bit of that. I'm not gonna lie. You know, all guys think like that. It's nothing personal, ladies, but you know, we tend to do think like that. But what I notice about women competing with each other, we do compete differently for women as women compete with us, and I think that's a societal thing. I think society pushes women to compete for these men more differently than guys competing for girls. You know, even though men naturally flock to women, I still think men always have this persona, or they have this ideology as on to the next, basically piggybacking off of Sasha. Like, if they can't get this female, some guys can't handle rejection. Don't get me wrong. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've talked about it in some of my vlogging, but the guys have this persona where it's like, okay, on to the next. Oh, well, fuck it. If I didn't get her, so what? And sometimes even I have that attitude. I'm not going to lie, because I would rather act like that than I would rather be all butthurt and, you know, show signs of weakness and say, oh, you know, you rejected me, you know, F you. I don't want to be, you know, fuck you, bitch. Because I feel like that's the wrong way to go about it. You know, like I've said in videos before, you got to take no as graciously as a yes. The best way I can do that is to say on to the next. But I don't do that in a disrespectful manner. But I think with most guys, when they're competing for a woman, they have this mentality where it's like, well, I do want to be with them, but if I can't have them, then oh well. Like, I understand that it kind of fucks with your psyche, and because in one sense, it's like showing, like, do you care enough that you're willing to put in the extra work to get to them, that you can't handle the competition. And number two, if you do put in the extra work, will it make you look desperate, or, I mean, will it make you look too desperate? And then if you get rejected, does it make you look weak because of your advance, because of your strong approach towards it? So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. But I do notice that men kind of have this nonchalant, you know, if I get her, I get her, I don't, at least I could try to get some sex out of it, if that kind of makes sense, you know, kind of approach, you know. So I guess I can kind of agree with it. Now I'm going to ask both of you ladies this question because Chris just sent me 2 questions in right now on Facebook because I've been messaging all my Facebook friends, and he asks, and he wants to know, do women who put out more seem to have a better chance to get the guys versus girls who are just trying to know the guys and then start from there?
Yes. Guys don't want to wait. They don't want to hear, no, we're not going to have sex right now, or no, I'm waiting for marriage, or no, I'm waiting 3 months. No, the guys want, most men, I think, typically want a girl that they don't have to really, even though they say men like a chase, I don't really think that's true. I don't really think men like to work to get the girl that they want to be with. You know, I think they just want it easily, I think.
Okay, so but I mean, I guess he asked me from a competition standpoint. Do you feel like it's hard competing to get men because you do have those women out there who do put out on the first date, and those guys seem to flock to them because it's easier, it's easy sex, it's like easy money, it's easy. Does it frustrate you in the dating world in terms of trying to date men on the ideology that you're trying to build a foundation and start from there and go from the ground up and then introduce, you know, sexual activity later in the process versus a woman who puts out more? Do you feel like it's kind of hard competing against that, you know, those type of girls?
I think it is. I think it is for me personally because, you know, it's kind of hard to try to compete with somebody who's giving it up and you're not. So of course they're automatically going to go to the girl who's giving it up.
Just free ass.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you know, you're a man. You knew the answer to the question.
Well, Chris actually wanted to get a woman's perspective. So, Ambrosia, we're going to go to you. Do you feel that women compete for men? Do you feel like women have a different competition level against each other for men versus men to women? Do you agree with what we said, or do you have a disagree? Do you think it's the same? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I wanted to comment on what you guys were discussing with the women who put out.
Okay.
They might get a lot of sex and people that call them up when they have nothing better to do, but they're not necessarily, it's not guaranteed they're going to get a relationship either. They're just going to be considered the easy lay that the guy could call up and get himself some. That doesn't mean he's going to have a relationship with you at all.
That is true, but do you feel like, I understand you're married, but when you were in the dating world, did you feel the pressure in terms of the competition level? You know, you have to compete with women who put out versus you were probably a woman who wanted to be more settled, more, you know, more of a companionship type of you know, relationship to start off, and then later on when you build those building blocks, then you introduce the sexual intercourse. Do you feel like there was pressure in the competition level wise with women who put out more?
No, not pressure with the women who put out more, just annoyance that every freaking guy, well, not everyone, but most guys wanted it like the first or second day of dating you. And that annoyed me because it was always they just like wanted it right away. And so I really didn't feel pressured, because if I didn't want to do it and the guy, acted like he had a problem with that, I just was like, whatever, bye. I didn't care. I mean, I admit that, there were a lot of women out there that were putting out and they had lots of dates and got lots of sex. Okay? But I didn't feel like I was under pressure because of that. I just felt like it was hard finding a guy that just didn't want to, have sex with you on the first or second date. It's like they didn't want to get to know you. And to me, that was just like, that's all this guy wants. That was a hint to me that that's all the guy wants. He's not interested in getting to know me as a person. He just wants me as a conquest. So I was like, oh, I'm on to the next person then.
I just received another question in, ladies. I think you're going to like this one. And this is from a lady. Her name is Ashley. And Ashley, I'm going to give you a shout out from Facebook. Thank you for submitting this question, and thank you for watching the video. Do you feel that men have this I always want something in return persona? For example, they take you out on the date, they pay for the date, they pick you up, they're spending their money on you, and they want something in return, and they make it known. Do you feel that way? Have you ever had that situation?
Yes, I've had that situation happen with me. It's kind of like guys, they don't want to, some men, I'm not saying all men, but some men, they give you something, they want something back. They take you out to eat, take you to a movie, take you to dinner, y'all go get some drinks, they're trying to get back in your house. It's like they do something nice for you, they're going to be expecting something. It's like they don't do stuff genuinely. It's kind of almost like they're just seeing how much stuff they can do until you're going to decide that you want to give them some ass. That's what I think anyway.
Great analysis. And look, I got this glass of water. What are y'all willing to do for it? Hey.
You know what? On the other side of that coin, though, I also came across men who didn't want to do diddly shit and still wanted a piece of ass. Okay?
Yeah, that is true.
They didn't want to take me out, get to know me. They just, let's get together. And I'm like, no, bye. Okay, so, they're out there too.
Yeah. I really feel like I should answer this question. I have many guy friends, as I do have a portion of homegirls. But, of course, my ratio between male to female friends is about 7 to 1. So for every, 7 guy friends, I have, 1 female friend. Now, and I tell guys this all the time, whether I'm vlogging or I say this to my homeboys, whether you want sex or a relationship, I notice these guys are kind of like, well, what am I getting out of this? They throw, what I like to call, they like to throw that transaction at you. And basically what they'll say is they'll say, oh, well, I did this, and what am I getting in return? I'm not getting a relationship. Do you like me? Oh, and one thing about guys that I fucking hate is they say, well, I'm not paying for the date if they're not my girlfriend. Well, first of all, if you're going out, it's really kind of like you're fucking yourself two ways, because number one, you don't know if they're going to be your girlfriend after the date. Number two, if she really wanted to be deceiving, she could say, yeah, sure, I'll be your girl. You take her out on a date, you pay for the date, right? Throw a little change or whatever, you pay for the dinner, movie, whatever, y'all go. Play some pool, whatever. You pay for the date, and then guess what? After that, you don't hear from them no more. So really, I feel like when men put themselves in a position like that with that mentality, they're setting themselves up for failure. That's why when I go out on dates, when I do date, I always say, and I tell women this all the time because they'll ask me, what are your intentions? Because I have guys ask me all the time, like, are you going to be my girl? And I don't really know them like that. And I tell them all the time, I understand that. Honestly, what I would like to do is I would like to be your friend first, because my mom always told me if you want to have a girlfriend, you got to be their friend first. And most guys seem to can't comprehend that, but I do. I comprehend the fact that I have to be a woman's friend first. And the best advice from your mother. She said you got to be their friend first. So I don't mind being their friend, and then we can go from there. I don't mind paying for the date because I feel like men should pay for the first date if they have the money and they have a reliable source of ride. Okay? I feel they should pay for the date. Now, when we go on a date, I tell them I don't expect nothing from you. I just want to, spend time with you. That's all. Just want to get to know you from there. Now, I know I kind of sound like I'm going everywhere with this, but I sound a little bit more charming. So it kind of turns the girls on. They're like, okay, I like this guy, I guess you could say it's called reverse psychology. So I kind of apply that. I try to, I want to take the pressure off of women by not telling them, hey, I'm looking for sex, or hey, I'm looking for a relationship. I just want to get to know you. If we're friends, we're friends. If we're more than that, then we're more than that. And that's how I approach it. But most men have this, oh, I have to, what am I getting out of this? I bought you this and I didn't receive this. And I'm like, if you're going to have that mentality going into dates, you're never, ever, ever going to find a successful relationship because you're looking for a one-size-fits-all, I want everything right now kind of approach that makes sense. But yes, most men do want something in return for their services. I know, I've noticed that based on my guy friends and what I've seen.
Yep, that's true.
Even if it's picking them up for a ride, I've seen guys like, I'll give you a ride, but what are you going to give me in return? Now, I can understand if you ask for gas money, because like if I'm picking you up and I'm taking you somewhere, and I'm spending a lot of gas, if I have the extra gas, it's fine, and you just don't have the money, and we're cool, that's one thing. But if I don't really know you, or I know of you, and I don't have the gas, and I'm asking you for gas money, then yeah, I'm asking for gas money. But of course, if I ask you for sex, then of course that makes me look like a douchebag. Respectively so, you have the right to feel that way. But I don't see nothing wrong with asking for like gas. But I notice that guys do try to do this. Well, I'm doing for you. What am I getting in return? And I just think it's the wrong way to approach it.
Yeah, I agree. That is the wrong way to approach it. People don't want to be. Women don't want to be treated like a prostitute.
That is true. I mean, I can respect that. No disrespect to the prostitutes who make money, though. This question is sent in from Krish. Thank you, Krish. He says, it seems like to him, based on his experiences, and he could be wrong, and he's not assuming you two are like this, but he said it seems like to him that he feels like these women nowadays are trying to get after men who are in relationships who are married because they see something that they like and they in return want that instead of going for single men. Now, I know this probably doesn't apply to you guys, but maybe you can relate to this in some way. Maybe you might have had friends who were like this, family members. I mean, is there any relation between this? Do you guys have any comment on this?
I think it's the same as if men go for women who are in a relationship, or they just want to be the friend of a girl who has a boyfriend, or most people want what they can't have. So I think that is true, that most women tend to knowingly go for guys. Not most women, but some women do typically try to go for guys who have girlfriends or are engaged or married.
Yeah.
It's shitty.
Have you guys, be honest with me, guys, I'm not going to judge you any less. You'll always be my friends. Have you guys ever chased a married man before, or a man in a relationship? Be honest. There's no put you on the hot seat, but have y'all ever dated somebody who was married, knowingly dated someone who was married?
Oh, God.
I'm putting you on the spot. Come on, answer the question.
I haven't.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Can I just preface it by saying, okay, does separation count? Does that count?
No, separation does not count.
Okay, so no.
Okay.
No.
Okay, then that's good then. Okay, that's cool. To me, I'm gonna comment on this. I noticed like I've known some girls who've like dated married guys or they dated guys in relationships, and I guess it's because they see that the guy they see from firsthand, they see the way that this man is treating this woman, so they got like a visual perspective, and so it makes them want the guy because they want what that guy is giving her. But the problem is when you see the nice guys on the street who can provide the same thing, they don't want them. They don't want those single fucking nice guys. Now, I'm not saying all women are like that, but I'd like to say a lot of these young girls are like that. Like they don't want a regular, nice, genuine guy because he's kind of what they call a one size fits all package deal. He comes with everything, no chase, probably no sexual attraction, and that's fine. But at the same time, it's like you see this guy who's a nice guy who's married. He's giving the woman all the same thing. You go for that. I mean, besides the fact it's a homewrecker kind of ordeal, but it just seems like to me like, why don't you go for a guy who's fucking single instead of a guy who's taken? And
Yeah.
even when women are dating these player types of guys because they have like this sexual attraction, this sexual persona, the bad boy looking thing, and you can tell these guys are fucking players, and you can tell that they can pretty much almost get any girl they want. And it's like women are attracted to those type of guys, and it's fine, but it doesn't equate to like a long-term relationship. They get bad boyism and long-term relationship confused with each other. They get those two, and they try to put it together. It never works. And I know I'm kind of going off with this topic, but I noticed that I've even had some homegirls and stuff. They'll like a guy that you can tell he gets a lot of girls, and I'm like, that guy's got player written all over his forehead, and she's like, well, maybe he'll change. I'm like, nah, don't think so.
Yeah, that's a problem when you go into a relationship trying to change somebody. You can't do that. You can't go into a relationship thinking, well, maybe I can change him, or maybe he'll change, or maybe I can change her. It doesn't work. People only change when they want to. It doesn't. They're not going to change just because you sitting out here doing your best. Trying to make it work, trying to get them to not be a player. They're not going to. They only change when they want to. It's not something that you can force somebody to do.
I agree. So, Ambrosia, you got anything to say about this before we go to the next topic?
Well, I agree that you shouldn't think you're going to change somebody because you'll just end up being unhappy, and you'll make that person unhappy too. And then I wanted to comment on the women that go after married men thing. That I just wonder, do those women ever worry if he cheated on his wife, is he going to cheat on me too? Am I going to be able to hold on to him?
Yeah.
That
that is a thought. That is a thought. That is a thought that goes through your head. I know for mine, because I've talked to a few guys who have been either going through a divorce or separated or something like that. 9 times out of 10, they ended up going back, to their spouse. But I mean, if you do think about it, you are like, okay, well, maybe he could get tired of me or whatever and want to, cheat on me. So it's definitely something that you think about. But I don't, now I feel like a hoe. But, I mean, it just, it just happens like that sometimes.
So, I guess we'll go ahead and go to the next topic, and I think this is going to be a pretty interesting topic. This topic is called the pros and cons to dating. What are the benefits to dating, whether it's online dating or blind date or casual? I don't even think anyone blind dates anymore, but I think online dating is sort of like the blind date in terms. I guess that makes sense. But what are some of the pros and cons to dating? And I'll go ahead and let Ambrosia start off with this first, since we're always going to Sasha. So I'm gonna let Ambrosia start off. Ambrosia, based on your experience, I understand you're married now. And how long have you been married for, by the way?
7 years.
Okay, so before your 7-year marriage, I don't know how long you've been with this guy before that. How long were y'all together?
We've been together for a total of 10 years.
Okay, cool. We'll even add that into the equation. Up until your marriage in the dating world, and up until when y'all were dating before your marriage date, what were some of the good things about dating and some of the bad things about dating? We'll go with the good things. What are some of the what are some of the good things that you enjoy about dating? The dating aspect.
the thing is okay, when I met him, there was nothing bad about dating whenever I met him. But with other people, of course, your cons would be that sometimes the guy would expect something from you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the major con. Or, kind of worrying about, do I even want to be alone in a car with this guy? I don't even know this guy. Because sometimes we don't know him that well whenever we go on dates with him. And then other times, we do know the person. So that would be a con, the nervousness and wondering. But the pros are like, you get to know the person and you can have fun on the dates and, get exposed to different things that maybe you never would have thought of doing, but this person you're dating likes it and you do it and you end up liking it too. Yeah. And I'm not going to lie. I don't want to sound shallow, but it's also damn nice to have somebody pay for stuff for you. I have to be honest. It's nice.
What about you, Sasha? Tell me about your dating experiences and what are some pros and cons to your experiences on dating? We'll start with the pros. What are some of the benefits you've enjoyed from dating?
The benefits of dating is you have somebody, you get somebody that you can talk to, you can see what you got, if y'all have a lot of stuff in common, y'all can go to the movies, y'all can hang out, you don't always have to do stuff, by yourself or feel like nobody's interested. And the pros of dating, I guess the main one is, you're not by yourself, like if you're bored one day and you're like, hey, I want to go to the park, let me see if such and such wants to go to the park with me. Or let me see if where you want to go to the movies or something like that. You can just do stuff instead of, not saying that it's bad to do stuff by yourself, because I feel like more people need to do things by themselves. You don't need to rely on somebody else to do stuff with you. But it is nice, like Kat was saying, to do stuff with other people. It is nice to get taken on dates, to have somebody want to pay for you and want to give you things without you having to prod and ask and beg and complain about it, So, those are the pros. The cons of dating are...
You probably got a long list of those, but let's go ahead and start.
The cons of dating in my life basically is just the trust issues. Really, especially when you online date, you don't really, in honesty, you don't really know that person. You just know what they're presenting to you online. You don't really know what their habits are. You don't really know who they are in real life. You just know them in a virtual reality. Yeah. So it's when you do meet them and you do see how they are, they could possibly be somebody completely different. Or, you guys could get in an argument. Next thing you know, that person is completely somebody different than who you originally, thought that they were. And I just think that my main con with dating is just miscommunication, and it's just because I tend to up to a certain standard, and if you don't meet that standard, I kind of just lose interest after a while, and then it's just kind of like there's really no point, because I don't want to waste my time. I'm almost 30 years old. I don't want to be out here dating just to date men. I want to date to get married. I want to be married. I want to have a husband. That's what I want. So not a lot of men my age are gonna be like, hey, I want to get married too, because men look at that like that's death. Getting married and settling down, and well, some men do, not all men, but that's my main thing, is the commitment and the communication. That's what I think, because not a lot of men want to commit, and not a lot of men like openly communicating. Some men don't know how to communicate.
Based on this show that we've started, I've already came up with 3 topics for next week's show. But that's okay, because I'm not going to discuss it on here. I'm going to leave it. We'll post it later on in the week. We may even do it this Friday. Who knows? If you guys got time, we may cover another show. How popular this gets. But some of the pros and cons to my experiences of dating. Well, of course, the biggest pros I've got is I have an opportunity to make new friends, and I think that's I think that is very essential to building a foundation, to building a relationship, however that is defined. Now I know people say, oh, you get friend zone, this and that if you think like that, but not necessarily true, because if things don't work out, like 99.999% of the times you meet people and you don't talk to them anymore, at least you have the opportunity to gain some back through friendships, and maybe even then could maybe even spark something up later on. Just because like it didn't work out then does not mean later on you guys may not start dating. And that's kind of like a weird psyche or a weird thought process I have, but one of the main benefits I've had to pros was I've dated some really cool people. I've had an opportunity to meet some really nice girls, and some of them are some of my friends to this day. And I think that's one of the most beneficial things to dating, to getting an opportunity to meet somebody. Because if you have this mentality where you throw yourself at somebody, whether you're male or female, it makes you look desperate. So to me personally, like, I would not mind being your friend, or I would not mind having a friendship first. Or if you weren't liking me like that and you said, hey, I don't feel a connection level, this and that, I go, fine, can we be friends? Because I would love to have you to be a part of my life. Sometimes people appreciate those kind of things, because most men do not offer a friendship. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Most men have this, I want everything, or I want you, or I can't. If I can't have you, then I don't want you as a friend, right? That like I want to date you, I don't want to be your friend. Well, in order to be their man, don't you want to essentially be their friend first? So to me, that's the biggest pro I've got from dating. Now, some of the cons that I've gotten, of course, was like, one of the worst things I hate when you're going on a date with me is fucking texting on your cell phone. I can't stand that shit. And I understand we're at times now where people are doing that, and it bothers the living shit out of me when people are constantly texting on their cell phones. These ladies are texting on their cell phones because it tells me that you're not interested in the date, and it tells me that I'm not important enough to you. Because to me, I look you in the eyes, I turn my cell phone off, or I at least put it on vibrate, or I put it on silent. I do that all the time when I go on a date. And to me personally, when I don't look you in the eyes, I'm not showing you respect. When you don't look me in the eyes, you're showing me a lack of respect. So to me personally, if you're texting on your phone, that's just telling me that the date is not important, and that you're already planning your next date on the phone as we speak. Well, I'm the one that's paying for the date. So I'm not expecting anything in return other than a little bit of common courtesy, and I think that's one of the struggles that I'm struggling with the most when I'm in the dating world, is people who text on their cell phones, because I feel it's totally disrespectful. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
I do think it's disrespectful. If a guy, would have ever been texting on a date with me, I would have been like, hit the road, creep. That's just rude.
I understand. I understand that. I'm not her man to be telling her not to do it, so I can't just say, hey, what are you doing? Who are you texting? Because I'm not your man. I can't say that. Even though some guys are like that, I'm not like that, because then it shows that I'm controlling. But then if I don't say anything, it looks like I'm the kind of like a pushover. So then it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I'm just better off just not saying anything at all, because I'm not your man to tell you not to be on the phone. But it's common courtesy to not text on your phone. That's how
Steven.
Yeah.
The thing is if the woman is already being rude to you, why do you care whether she thinks you're controlling or not? Well, because, she's already, you've already lost interest in her, and she's not interested in you. So you really shouldn't care about that. Let her know that she's being rude, so maybe you can save her or have her learn a lesson for her next date.
Well, I've had her. I've had girls like me before, but I just find it disrespectful to just be on your phone all the time. If you're on it a little bit, your mom's texting you, family member, like, I get that. But when you're constantly on it all the time, it just, I don't know. To me, it just seems like you're not interested in the date, I guess, or if you're bored of the date, like you don't enjoy where you're at. And I notice a lot of these girls nowadays, they don't they're not creative in wanting to go anywhere. They want the man to pick them up, pay for the date, which I don't mind. Okay, which I don't mind doing that. But not only do they want that, but they want the guy to come up with all the ideas of where to go. Now, I understand if I'm picking you up, then I should be able to determine where we go. But it just, to me, if I feel like if I'm coming up with all the planning, I'm paying for the date, like a respectable gentleman I am, then the least thing you could do is not text on your cell phone and act somewhat interested on the date. I mean, I've had some girls tell me, well, you know, all you guys want to do is take us to movie and a dinner and date. I'm like, well, first of all, you're going on too many dates. Secondly, if you're looking for just like this one guy to be this creative guy to take you to the beach and stuff, to me, I just feel like I'm not going to take you to the beach on a first date, or I'm not going to take you to this just spectacular place that I don't really know you. I'm just, you know, I feel like dinner and a movie's cliche because I just feel like it's the stepping stone to maybe a better date in the future. And we're just trying to get to know each other. I mean, for all I know, I don't even know if I'm going to have a second date with you. So I just feel like when we have dinner, we have that social interaction, a chance to communicate with each other. Because I understand when you go to the movies, you can't talk to each other because silence is golden at the AMC theaters, and you're not allowed to speak. So to me, I feel like, okay, I'd rather take you to dinner first to get that one-on-one with you for about an hour and a half. Then we'll go to the movies and go from there. So to me, I just feel like another struggle when I'm going on these dates, another con, is I have to do everything. I have to be the master creator, the master designer, where to take them, where to go. And they literally sit up in my car and have this impress me attitude. I'm like, bitch, you got to impress me too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not asking you for sex, but you have to impress me too. You know, goes both ways. So I just thought I'd get that out there.
Well, how can a woman impress you on a date?
Well, first of all, not texting on her damn cell phone all day.
Okay, that's other than that. That's a good one. Other than that.
Well, because that's
she's
mainly
not
my biggest pet peeve. That's my mainly biggest pet peeve. And number two, I notice when I'm dating girls on multiple dates. Now, if it's a first date, I don't mind paying, or first couple dates. But like if I'm going out with you 4 or 5 dates, I expect you to at least pick up the tab every now and then, or at least invite me to dinner if you feel like paying for a man is disrespectful. Because some women feel, even to this day, that it's disrespectful to pay for a man. I get it. But if you're not going to at least offer to pay, at least invite me for dinner or make me something and come in the car with it. And I notice girls these days don't do that.
That's a good idea, you know. Bake some cookies and give it to your date.
Do something to contribute other than just sitting your vagina in my car. No offense. Do something. No. But I'm saying contribute other than just sitting your ass up in the passenger seat and saying impress me, impress me, impress me. At least contribute somewhat. Because some girls do consider it rude to pay for a guy. You know, they have their reasons. I get it. But if you're not going to pay for any of the dates or pick up the tab every now and then or pay for a tip, at least make me something to bring it from the house, you know?
Well, Stephen, not all girls that go on dates are like, impress me, impress me, impress me. A lot of times, too, they're worried about how the guy is perceiving them, and they are trying to impress the guy. A lot of them.
Maybe that's so, but I just feel like, you know, if I'm always paying for all the dates, every date we go on, and they're not really contributing, to me it feels like, where's their investment on the relationship? That's like how I guess that makes sense, you know? I don't know, maybe I'm kind of blowing this up, you know? Maybe that's just me, you know?
Well, it's a thought. I mean, I think that that's rather nice if some ladies would like make something and give it to a guy, or invite them over for dinner and cook for them. I think that that's a good idea.
You know how much it costs for a date nowadays? You know how much it costs to go on dates? Because, see, I tell these women all the time, you don't know how blessed you are to be in a situation where you're sitting in the passenger seat not having to pay. It's a dinner and a movie. First of all, a dinner for 2 is going to cost you, plus a tip, is going to cost you around $40, $50. Now we're talking about the movies. $20 to enter, and that's not including if you want something when you're in there. So we haven't talked about that. Plus gas. And imagine you're doing this once a week. Multiply that times 4 weeks. That's about $300 a month. That adds up. And again, I'm not bitching about the financial. I don't want to throw that transaction at you. And I'm not asking for sex in return. But at the same time, I'm asking for a little reciprocation. You know, like, hey, Steven, I understand that you've been paying a lot for these dates. So how about once a month, I'll make some food or something. We both can bring a dish. And we'll go to the park or something like that. And I feel like it's disrespectful if I have to bring it up to these women because I feel like it's not genuinely coming from them. If I'm the one that has to tell them, hey, you know, you could pick up the tab every now and then. But at the same time, they won't say anything unless I say something.
How many dates is acceptable before a woman finally would say that? Like, how long do you think is correct?
You know what? That should be a topic for the next video. I mean, we can talk about, that could be a whole topic in itself. Maybe we should cover that for our next video. What do you guys think?
Okay, because I think that's a good idea because I'm thinking, you know, if I've only dated the guy 3 or 4 times and he's already expecting, you know, me to pay for it, that's kind of soon.
Well, when do you think is an appropriate time for, if not to pay for dates and to say, hey, I'll cook you something or I'll bring you something? When do you think that's
well, you know what? I don't mean to be old-fashioned, but, you know, some women want to be like, what's that word, wooed? Is that the word, wooed?
Yep.
And it's just romantic. You know, remember how they used to go courting in the olden days? I know that sounds old-fashioned, but it's romantic. And, you know, once you start to see that the guy cares enough about you, he's making an investment in you, well then, yeah, of course you're going to offer these things. But I don't think that you should necessarily expect it right away.
No. Well, that's why I was asking you, when do you think is an appropriate number? Like, do you think 3 months, 4 months? I mean, some people have different numbers that they threw at me, and we can cover this in a whole video on the next, you know, our next video.
If I was dating you for a month, okay, of course I've decided that I like you because I'm continuing to go on dates with you consistently for a month. So probably by then, before the month was up, I would have already cooked for you or offered to take you for dinner.
Thank you.
That's a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, that's fair enough. I don't know. I guess it's just with my dating issues, that's what I struggle with to this day. Is like, first dates I don't care. First couple dates is fine, but I just feel like, you know, once you get into 4, 5, 6, and 7 dates, I just feel like, you know, I'm paying all these dates. I'm not asking for sex in return, but where's your part where you're contributing? You know, like, hey, Steverose, I see you're spending a lot. Would you like to come over and I'll make you dinner? Or, you know, you can't really come over because I got a lot of people over here, or my parents don't really know you. So in return, I'm willing to make something, and we can go to the park or something like that.
Or not only that, but we would try not to have you spend that much money. Like, you know, like invite you over to play maybe a board game or something, or invite you to come over and watch some TV shows sometime so that you wouldn't have to always be dishing out the cash. Like you said, go to the park, go on a picnic where the woman cooks. It doesn't always have to be an expensive deal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's expensive going out. Like, just go out to eat for dinner too is like $50 by the time you're
True, but like, if the woman was not suggesting that all the time, if the woman was just happy with these other things where it didn't cost money, that's kind of contributing too, isn't it? If they're not expecting you to spend money all the time.
That is true, but I just noticed with most of them, they're like, well, where are you going to take me to? I mean, well, that's fine. Like, again, I don't mind paying, but it's like when we start dating multiple times and you're not paying and you're just sitting in the car, and no offense, but I'm not throwing this out. But you're not throwing any ass around, and I don't care, that's fine. But you're not throwing anything else at the table. Like, you're not suggesting, like, anywhere to go, or you're not saying, hey, I understand you're spending this much, I would like you to come over, they're not bringing it up, and I guess maybe that has to do with my personality because I'm a nice guy. So they feel like, well, fuck, if he ain't gonna say anything, I ain't gonna say anything. But I feel like if I say something, then it's not genuine because it's not coming from you.
Maybe they're trying to please you, though. They could be trying to please you, and they feel like if they said, oh, hey, I don't want to go there, why don't we go here? Maybe they feel like they'll be perceived as overbearing, and they're nervous and they're insecure about it, so they're not sure if they should.
You know, that you are right. I mean, I guess I can look at it from, a woman's perspective as well. I mean, that is true.
Because they figure you're paying, so they probably, some of them would think that, you have the right to decide since you're paying.
And I do.
Where they're going. You know what I mean?
And I do. That's true. I hate to say this, but who's ever paying has to say so. Now, if you hate liver and onions, I'm not going to take you to a restaurant that says liver and onions company. But if, for example, if you like Italian food, and you don't like Olive Garden, but you like this one restaurant, if I can find a restaurant in your area, I'll take you there. If not, we're going to Olive Garden, or we're going to go somewhere else. But, if it's something you hate, I'm not going to take you there. I mean, I'm not saying, like, you don't have any say-so at all. I do ask women, like, where would you like to go? Is there anywhere in particular you like to go? But, and then most of them will tell me, well, why don't you come up with the idea that I'm like, all right, I guess. I mean, like, I'll just say dinner and a movie. Like, that's my cliché-est line, Okay, so we're done with topic 3 now. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The next one is well, actually no, this is topic 4 because no, most romantic places for a first date in general. So Sasha, we'll start off with you. What are some most memorable dates that you've ever been to? If you haven't been any, most memorable, what are some places you feel are most memorable, like some cool places to go to?
I was once taken to the beach at night. It was like a pier. And that was pretty cool. It was night. The moon was setting on the ocean. It was really gorgeous. And that's probably the most beautiful place that I've been on a date. Now, I don't really know because when I date, I just kind of, I'm a homebody, so I'm more like, after I get to know you and we hang out for a little bit, I'm more like, well, we can watch a movie or we can do this or we can do that. Like, I don't really like going out and in the craziness of all that, especially when you're trying to go out on like Saturday or Sunday. It's crazy on those days. On Friday, trying to go out and go out to the movies and stuff like that. So I don't really know. I don't really have that many great places to go on date. I thought the beach was pretty nice.
So the beach is pretty nice. And what are some dates like that you would always love to go on that you've never experienced, that you might have saw in the movies or you might have saw, what are there any memorable are there any places you would like to go? That you've never.
I'd actually like to go to a theme park. I like to go to a theme park or go-kart racing or putt-putt golf.
Miniature golf.
Or something like that. Yes, miniature golf. That would be something that I would really enjoy doing. Because, I mean, that stuff is fun. That's easy for you to get to know somebody. And so I think I think those would be my top 3. Putt-putt, golf court, yeah, putt-putt, go-karting, and the theme park.
So, Ambrosia, we'll start with you next. What are some most memorable places you would like to, that you've been on dates to, or if not, what are some places you saw in the movies or whatever that you've heard of or know of that you would have liked to go to?
Well, I've been on a lot of enjoyable dates, go-karts and movies and romantic restaurants and stuff, but the best was like my honeymoon when we were sitting on the balcony of the Animal Kingdom Lodge Resort and it was dark and we were watching the animals wander around. And also when we got the night vision goggles and we're watching the animals at night. Ooh. And then waking up in the morning before we would go to the park and watching the animals in the morning and holding hands. I thought that was very nice. And Sasha mentioned a theme park. It's awesome when you're with someone you love and you go to a place like Disney World. It's awesome and it's so much fun. As far as where I would like to go on a date, Well, I think it would be nice to go to Australia one day. Or go on some sort of a safari in Africa or something. I think that'd be really romantic. I used to think about cruises, but after all the problems that have been happening on cruises, I'm like, no, to heck with that. But
Yeah. So is there any what's the best date? So that was the best date you went on, the one where you went to go see the animals and you used the night vision goggles?
and technically, you can't, I guess, consider that a date since it was our honeymoon.
That's
But
beautiful. No, that's a date. That's a date.
every date with my husband is memorable and wonderful. I know I sound corny, but that's just the way it is. I sound like something off of the Hallmark Channel.
Well, Ambrosia,
But
if you're happy, I'm happy.
thank you.
I think the best date I've ever been on was overcoming my heights. Me and this girl went on a date like 3 years ago. We went to go ride the Ferris wheel. I'm afraid of heights. So I finally rode the Ferris wheel for the first time, and it was amazing. Um, I've also been on dates to the beach and stuff like that. That's okay. I've always wanted to go on a cruise. I'm not going to lie. I've never had the opportunity to enjoy a cruise. Now, Sasha's saying she would like to go to a theme park. I've been to Astroworld before, and they got like little sports bars and stuff in there, so you can go in there and eat, and then you can go ride the rides. Me, I get emotion sickness, so if I have my eyes open the entire ride, I'm probably gonna throw up. So I like to close my eyes during the ride, because I get motion sickness. You know, I even get it in the car when I'm in the car if I'm in the passenger seat, or if I'm reading a book inside the car, I get motion sickness. So I try to avoid getting on the rides as much as possible, or at least I close my eyes so I don't get dizzy. Now, dates I would have liked to go on, like of course, I would love to go on a cruise just to say that I've been there, you know, or go kayaking, or go skiing, mountain climbing. That would be pretty cool. Or to stay in the middle of a cabin out in the middle of the woods, middle of nowhere, for like a weekend. Hunting, fishing, barbecuing, enjoying the outdoors.
Good luck finding a woman to do that.
Well, I didn't literally mean out in the middle of nowhere, but they have like these little camping sites you can go to where you can pay to reserve a spot, and then you can, take your family, friends, whatever, camping and stuff.
And they have showers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's just something to enjoy the outdoors and just get a chance to try something new, just to enjoy life, And because I do believe if you get stuck doing the same things all the time, you get bored of it, So I try my best to, want to implement new things. Like when I went out of town, July 1st to the 12th, that was the funnest time I've ever had in my life. Driving to Phoenix, San Diego, LA, Valencia. I went to do Sports Center in Los Angeles. We stayed right across from the Staples Center where the Lakers play. Then went to Valencia, California, and went to Six Flags Magic Mountain. And then I went to San Diego by the Bay Area. I saw people riding on their ships and fishing and stuff. And you got the tour of the USS Wilson, which is a big U.S. naval base there. And then you get to go. We went to Vegas. Went there, stayed at the Mirage, which is right across the street from the MGM Grand. And then after that, we went to the Grand Canyon. That was a wonderful sight. And then went to Phoenix, stayed in the richest area in Phoenix, which was called Paradise Valley. And the COO of Coca-Cola had like a little $30 million home out there, and I was looking at it from the hotel. I thought that was pretty cool because like the staff members were pointing it out to me. And then we went to San Antonio for 2 days and saw the Terminator. And then we came back home, and it was like one of the most enjoyable 11-day road trip I've ever had. And I don't know if you want to consider that a date, but I consider a date anything. Like if you went out to eat, that's a date. It doesn't necessarily mean a boy and a girl going out is a date. A date can be defined as anything. So like, I consider that my date, and I had so much fun going out of town for those 11 days.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. Yeah. San Diego was the best part about it. If I had a chance to go back, I probably would stay in San Diego the whole time there. When I was there, it was so much fun. I was in the heart of downtown, right next to the Bay Area. I got to see Coronado Bay, the USS Wilson. They had little fishery places where they sold like mounted fish and stuff. Fish I've never even seen before. and then you get to rent a boat, you get to ride the ferry for like $30. They'll ride you all around across the Bay Area. You can go fishing. You get the rocks in the lake. It has like a little like part where you can stick your feet in the water. I mean, it was beautiful. It was a wonderful place.
Sounds beautiful.
And the weather was 75 degrees the whole time.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Hey, listen, Stephen, I apologize, but I'm going to have to step away for a minute. Okay,
Well,
just a minute.
Okay. Well, actually, we covered every topic pretty much, so we're going to go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Well, let's go ahead and just end it off here. So we've already been going on an hour, and I hope you guys enjoyed our talks. Next week, we're going to cover about the dates and, when should women pay for dates, how long should guys pay. We'll cover that. Are men superficial, meaning like are they all about the looks? We'll cover that. Also, are times different from people who have dated back then when my parents who have been married for 33 years versus now the relationships nowadays? What are the differences? Is social media, is the internet to blame? Also, we're going to cover, no, that's pretty much it. And if we come up with 2 other topics, then we'll cover, are people taking deceiving pictures? I thought that would be very interesting that Chris sent me. Meaning, are women and guys taking photos to make themselves look thinner or look better, and then when you meet them in person, they look different? So we're going to cover all these things in the next topic. And I know we're going to have a lot to say. This is going to be a very interesting talk next week. So, the sexiest man alive, Sasha.
Oh, hey.
Ambrosia.
Bye-bye.
We're signing off.
Thanks. We had fun, Stephen. We had fun.
Oh, this is a good talk. This is good talk.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.